Good luck, Megan. Good morning, everyone. The meeting is going to be called at 9:30. So members of the public have been invited to participate in this meeting of council by attending in person at the chambers, the municipal office located at 10227 Ilderton Road in Coldstream, or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. Members of the public may also access the meeting live stream on the Middlesex Centre YouTube channel. Councillors Artis absent today with notice, but just before we start, I do have some opening remarks. On behalf of Middlesex Centre and council and staff, I would like to congratulate Reed Thomas, one of our community services operations supervisors. Reed is the recipient of the Ontario Recreation Facilities Association Don Harrison Energy Champion Award for 2025. This award is presented to an individual for a project that significantly reduces energy consumption, improves energy management education, or contributes to a notable achievement in facility energy management. Reed's involvement in the recent arena renovation project helped to guide the updates for the 1970s facility, resulting in improved energy efficiencies and a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. His efforts supported the project team in adapting design elements in a practical, effective way, and these contribute to the overall sustainability of the facility. Reed will be recognized by his peers at the ORFA meeting that's coming up in June this year. I just want to say how very, very proud we are of Reed for this achievement, and thankful for the positive impact that this work has had at the Ilderton Arena, and for all of those people who enjoy using this space. So thank you. Okay, I won't make you stand up.
I think Justin has a few words as well.
I hear Justin has a few words as well, so the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the mayor to members of council, this is an exciting award of recognition, not only for Reed, but also for the municipality of Middlesex Centre to be recognized by the Ontario Recreation Facilities Association, who are known as the leaders in municipal recreation. The Don Harrison Energy Champion Award is presented to an individual in recognition of the project, resulting in significant energy consumption reduction, improved energy management, education, and/or research, and a record achievement of service and recreation facility energy management. The Ilderton Arena project was moving the 70s and 80s technology to a level that is making a difference in 2025 and beyond, and hopefully for the next 10, 12, 15 years. Technology and methodology that existed, but without a significant overhaul, was never feasible or practical to incorporate into a design, into day-to-day operations. With the project came additions such as a snowmelt pit and utilization of waste heat from the refrigeration plant to heat dressing rooms and domestic water throughout the facility. The project was identified as very worthy for the award. Reed was instrumental in working alongside the contractors to prepare equipment, programming, and temperature set points to ensure all equipment is working as intended, realizing the maximum efficiencies while also reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. Congratulations, Reed, from the Community Services Department and the Municipality of Middlesex Centre.
Thank you for that, Justin. And there are people here and people may be watching this later this afternoon too. So I just want to mention that the grand opening is happening on Thursday. There's skating and all kinds of activities that are going to be happening. We're going to have dignitaries, including Minister Lumsden and our own MPP, Mr. Pinsino. So it starts at 2:30. And it goes till 5 o'clock. So if anyone wants to come, the doors are open. Come look at the facility, watch the people who are skating, get a tour. This will be very exciting. So with that, then we can move on to business. And I'll start with the land acknowledgement. The municipality of Middlesex Centre recognizes that we are gathering on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people on this land and are committed to moving forward in a spirit of reconciliation and respect. Our neighboring First Nations communities, which continue to live as sovereign nations, include the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation. So there are no additions to the agenda to today's meeting. I'll look to members of council. Does anyone wish to disclose a pecuniary interest? I see no hands. We can move now to delegations and presentations. So right now, the first item up is the engineer's report, Valley Municipal Drain, and I'll call on Mr. DeVos from Spreet Associates to present the resubmitted engineer's report for that property and that municipal drain. There we go. I've got it now.
Okay, there we go. Good morning. Yeah, this is a resubmission of the original Ballymote drain report that we had. We did have some requests and some input from landowners to look at some of the improvements, especially looking at the open channel downstream of where the new pipe will be. We have decided to expand some of the improvement area of the ditch a little bit further downstream to ensure that the landowners' concerns are addressed. We have decided to include the maintenance of the remaining portion. There's not a whole lot left that was part of the original 1982 drain. So we've shown that to be part of this report. So it's all included in one project. We've added a safety bench at the top of the slope along Medway Road. It's a fairly tight space as far as vehicle traffic being able to pull over to that ditch. And it is becoming deeper. And so to do that, we decided to use some of the excavated material to build a safety bench. And then the one owner where the pipe is being installed did ask us to incorporate the stormwater management facilities. There's two of them, one along the back of the lots that would be on Highbury and one that's along the back of the lots that would be on Medway, to incorporate them as part of the municipal drain for future maintenance purposes. So that's what has been added. And open up to questions.
Okay, thank you for that update. I'll look now to questions from the affected property owners. Does anyone have a question? Need clarification? Comments? I think that will be all then. If you'd like to come.
Okay,
How do we want to handle that then?
yeah, we do need to move forward, but
Yeah.
I guess we can move to members, comments and questions from members of council.
Okay. Okay, so, and I'll come back to you, councillors, if anything transpires after. So does anyone, okay, Deputy Mayor Brennan, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Mike. Did you meet with the residents again to go over their concerns from the last meeting? And if so, have you been able to rectify all their concerns on this drain?
Yes, we did meet with Jack and Wayne to review some of the issues that were raised, and then decided to try to address those through some of the expansion of the improvement.
Other councillors? Yes, go.
Yeah, we did, myself and Jack Vanderwyk did meet with Mike and Dan Anderson a week and a half ago, I think it was. And I think the biggest concern was where's the water's gonna go once it gets down to the east end of Ballymote. It's gotta go south. And that was the concern there. And I know Chris spoke about that problem also. So that has been addressed through the maintenance program. It will be cleaned out, that ditch, so that the water has the free flow right to the Talbot drain from that point after it makes the curve to go south. I don't know if there's any other issues. I think we pretty much covered them all. I didn't get any calls from anybody else other than that the water getting away from that ditch was the concern I'd heard.
I'll look to somebody on behalf of the person who's not here. We need to move on. Does somebody want to bring up any points that haven't been made? Yeah, if you want to come forward.
questions are, we're just an order that backs onto it. I just want to know how it affects.
We can
anything
move
that we
them.
have.
You could come forward. We are recording this session and the microphone will be able to pick up your question. And Mike, you can leave it on. That one I don't have to turn off and on. We have to rotate here. Okay. Yeah, have a seat. Sorry to make you repeat everything.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Our property backs onto where this drain is, so we got a notice, it's one of our properties. And, we just want to make sure cost wise, or if it's going to affect anything to do with our actual back of our property that backs onto the drain. We direct all our water to our front drain and, we don't currently have any issues with it. I just want to make sure nothing's going to affect us that way.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I could say that if the property's along Medway,
Yeah.
yeah, so behind that in the field, there is a current existing municipal tile drain. That drain will be replaced and improved with a larger pipe. And then there will also be an overland flow swale on top of the ground to allow any excess for larger rain events to flow east downstream to the ditch and get into the ditch. So there should be improvement. There shouldn't be any issues. We've also provided PDC pipes connections if people need backyard drainage. There's some areas in the backyards that are lower. And some of those properties may want to have small catch basins or inlets to allow some of the surface water to enter the drain directly.
Is there any unwanted, is there any cost associated to property owners in there?
Under the Drainage Act, all properties would be assessed in that particular area, but I do believe that for the urban areas, there's a stormwater rate that is paid and that the municipality intends to pay that on the people's behalf because they're already paying a monthly rate through their taxes.
Okay. Rob, do you want to add anything there?
Yep, through the mayor to council. So yeah, that's been the standard practice of municipalities that the landowners that pay into the stormwater reserve fund through their monthly fees, then we cover the assessment for any drainage work assessed to that lot.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. done.
Okay, super.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Good morning, Chris Talbot. I addressed this last year. Just one question, or just maybe a comment that might solve a lot of the landowners' problems, everybody that's involved with this. Would it be possible to have an on-site meeting? I mean, walk from one end to the other, explain what's going on. I mean, when the weather gets nicer, when it's welcome to come down through our place where the open ditch is going to go. But I just wonder if for clarification for everybody, for myself, it'd be better if we could see what's going on. Because if you drive by that property today, it's a complete nightmare. There's water everywhere, as you might expect. But anyways, that's just a comment I have. I guess I'll leave it with council or the drain inspector. You guys can do what you want, but that's just a comment.
Do you want to respond, Mr. DeVos?
Yes, with the report showing the design, it's council's decision to move forward with that design. We have expanded the work through Mr. Talbot's property to make sure that some of the issues that were raised were addressed. So there is some widening of the channel down through there in the area as it gets close to where it leaves the road, and then downstream of after it leaves the road for a stretch. The ditch is falling. The grade is more once it leaves Medway Road and heads in a southeasterly direction. The grade is much higher and the water starts to move faster. So we did expand it to ensure that it's happening. If Mr. Talbot wants to review in the field to see what is being done, I'm willing to do that. But at that point, the decision of what will be done has been already made. There is some maintenance that's part of this now. So this report does show maintenance going right down to the very bottom of the drain. That was going to be done regardless as maintenance, but because of some of the concerns and that was raised, And the shorter distance left over, that was just purely straight maintenance. We did add that. So there will be work on the entire drain, right down to the very bottom end of the drain, closer to the bottom end of your property where there's a pond. They're past the farm culvert down to where the pond is.
Is there anything you want to add? No. Okay. Okay, I'll look to go ahead, Counselor. Just a second. There we go. Go ahead, Counselor. Oh, there you go. Got it.
Through your worship, to our own drainage superintendent, do you have any comments on this, Dan, or you okay with what Mike has said?
Yeah, I believe we've addressed all the concerns.
Okay. All right, that's good.
I believe we've addressed all the concerns to date that have been brought up. If they're looking for a walkthrough to just visualize what will be done, we can do that to show them what we'll.
On the
planning on.
understanding that the decision was already made, the job was already spec'd, but you may do a walkthrough for clarification.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that wishes to comment? Clarify? No? Okay, in that case, the next item is to call for a decision. We have a recommendation before us that the resubmitted engineer's report for the Ballymote Municipal Drain dated February 23rd, 2026, as prepared by Speed Associates, be received and adopted, and that the Court of Revision meet on April 8, 2026, and that Councillor Burrs, Councillor Arts, and Deputy Mayor Brennan be appointed to sit as members of the Court of Revision, with Deputy Mayor Brennan serving as chair. And further, that the provisional bylaw 2026 number 9 for the drainage works receives first and second reading. Mover, please. Councillor Shipley, Deputy Mayor Brennan, all in favor? And that no one is opposed. Thank you. Okay, so we'll
Thank
see
you.
you in about a month or about a month. All right, now we actually have a Court of Revision for the next municipal drain on the agenda. The members of the Court of Revision today are Deputy Mayor Brennan, Councillor Burrs, and Councillor Shipley, acting in the place of Councillor Arts. Deputy Mayor Brennan will act as chair. And I'll go ahead and get the recommendation that we adjourn this meeting at 9:46 a.m. to sit as Court of Revision. I need a mover, please. Seconder, Deputy Mayor Brennan, Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. And the floor is yours, Deputy Mayor Brennan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will call the Court of Revision for the Dale Municipal Drain to order. All appeals are required to be received in writing 10 days prior to the date of the Court of Revision, as per the notice provided. At this time, there have been no appeals of the revised schedule have been received by the clerk. Members of the committee, are there any questions? No questions? Since there are no appeals, we do not need to deliberate. Recommendation is that the Middlesex Center Court of Revision approves the schedule of assessment for the Dale Municipal Drain provisionally adopted by bylaw 2026-010 and outlined in the report prepared by Speed Associates Limited dated December 4th, 2025. And that bylaw 2026-010 received third and final reading. And the recommendation is up the Court of Revision of the Dale, or I won't adjourn it. I'll ask for a motion to accept, to Wayne. Sure. All in favor? So moved. The Court of Revision for the Dale Municipal Drain adjourned at 9:48 a.m. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And thank you for that. Okay, we need to adopt the minutes. The recommendation before us is that the minutes of the Middlesex Center Council meeting held on February 25th, 2026 be adopted as printed. I have Councillor Coles, thank you, and Councillor Cates, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, next up, we have the consent agenda. There are a number of items there. These are typically received as one motion. Council may request that one or more of these be removed for further action. I'll ask, are there any items here that people wish to speak to? I see Councillor Cates, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I don't have any.
Maybe down a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I don't have any specific questions or anything. I just wanted to acknowledge these reports. There's, some very good information in so many of them, the customer service details and the diversity, equity, and the fire services, and the new Zamboni. So I just wanted to acknowledge everybody that did all their work on these and that they were great reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, spot on. There was a lot of reading there. Okay, in that case, if there are no further questions, there is a motion before us that items 8.1 through 8.6 listed under the heading of consent agenda for March 11, 2026 be adopted as recommended. I have Councillor Coles and Councillor Burrs. Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, now we can move to staff reports. The first item today, we have the procurement of goods and services policy update, and our manager of strategic communication, Heather Keprin, is going to speak to that report. When you're ready, Heather.
Good morning, Council, and through you, Madam Mayor. Before you today, we have for your consideration the update to our procurement of goods and services and construction policy and associated bylaw. So we wanted to speak to this important policy for a few reasons. First of all, just to remind you that under the Municipal Act, we are required to have this procurement policy in place, that our current policy was approved in 2020, and this update is to ensure that our policy remains legally compliant, current, and aligned with our best practices in procurement. So as a bit of an overview, this policy is sets out clear rules and processes to ensure that we get the best value for the municipality with our procurement. It considers not just the lowest price, but also things like life cycle costs. It sets out what the definitions for when we need bids, tenders, and other processes to come into play. And it strengthens and safeguards a lot of things around transparency and fairness. It addresses conflicts of interest and compliance, responsible fiscal management of public funds, and the protection of municipal and public interest. So in this update, there's a few key things to note. One is the procurement thresholds have been updated. Tenders are now required at $125,000. In the previous document, this was $100,000. This changes to align with increasing inflation and is reflecting what's in the current Canadian Free Trade Agreement as it pertains to municipalities. We modernized and clarified some language, so you'll see there's updated staff titles, and you'll see definitions and some responsibilities clarified. We also added a section that allows the policy to remain current should we see changes to to trade policies at the provincial or federal level. We added some stronger governance and controls in there. So you'll see that we've clarified the role of the Director of Finance or the Municipal Treasurer. We've clarified rules for when we would amend, renew, and extend contracts. And we've added new procedures tied to what we would do for tied bids and how to resolve disputes. We've also added some efficiencies and consistency improvements. So one of the big changes is we've added the opportunity to have a roster of contacts for pre-approved vendors for small reoccurring work. This would be things like our HVAC systems and things where we have people coming back, multiple years, same vendor. We've also added in some risk management enhancements. So you'll see we've clarified some things around when performance evaluations are required. We've added some restrictions on lobbying. We've clarified rules about what when we would have prohibited vendors and what we're doing with unsolicited sales. And also we've just clarified a bit the process for emergency procurements, that what needs to happen during an emergency as far as procurement and responsibilities. So this policy was reviewed against the County of Middlesex procurement policies. It was reviewed by legal counsel. And one of the other policy changes was just to make it so that it renews once every 4 years, or that would be once every term of council, to align with our current review processes. Of course, if something changed, this would come back to you sooner. Finally, there's no specific financial impacts of this policy, but the policy does impact a lot of procurement. I think a few weeks ago, we brought a report to you that showed that last year we did around just shy of $12 million under our procurement policy. So the policies in place here really do have an impact on what we do long-term. So we really feel that with this policy, we're putting forward kind of our best value purchasing approach for the municipality. which will still be all within council-approved budget constraints. Finally, it aligns with our strategic priority of sustainable infrastructure and services and ensures that we're applying a financial sustainability lens to all municipal operations. So I don't know if there's any other questions. On that.
Okay. Thank you for that report. I'll look to council members. This, I see Deputy Mayor Brennan. Go ahead.
To you, Madam Mayor, to Heather. Heather, when we go out and award a contract to someone under these limits, is there a criteria that one person would have to go through to make sure they're above board and a good fit for the project? Because if we're not doing an open RFP, then we're just collecting one person. Is there some criteria that we look at that person to make sure they fit within the system?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think that's a two-part answer. Certainly there is provisions in this policy for sole procurement. There's some examples where there just only is one provider. Often that would fall under some of our IT providers, things like that, that would categorize. And in those cases, our managers and directors are really vetting those folks quite closely. And often you'll see sole procurement that are new coming back to council for approval. Anything outside of this policy where we can't meet the criteria comes back to council. If you're talking about below the threshold, the $35,000 threshold, so that is managed through our internal controls for accounts payable and through our budget process. I might let our manager of finance kind of comment a bit more about what we do as far as that goes. So I'll hand that to Melissa for a second. Sure.
All right, through Madam Mayor to Deputy Brennan. So every new vendor, we can confirm with the department that proper procurement procedures has happened. So we ask them if this expenditure was approved through the budget. We ask for location of procurement procedures. And then we ask them if they've obtained 3 quotes already. And then we secure competitive pricing. So we ask that when we see the invoice come in through accounts payable.
Anyone else? Okay, I did have one question. The first question is the one that refers to the County of Middlesex county procurement policy. And I was curious about that in terms of where that overlaps and where applicable changes were made. I wasn't aware that, I guess there might be projects where we need to be congruent or something. If you could just speak to that a bit, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to you. Yes, so the county has a procurement, an actual procurement person in place and staff in that department. So we certainly looked at their policy just to ensure that we were aligning with what was in their policy. It's not so much that they overlap, but we just were able to go through and say, wow, they included this element, we should include this. So a good example off the top of my head would be the lobbying provisions. The other thing that you'll see in the bylaw itself is the comment around not collecting points. So if I pay for something on behalf of the municipality, I'm not allowed to collect air mile points or some other kind of points. So some of those places where having a procurement expert in place was, we were able to leverage that knowledge base. So that's what it was.
Yeah. Okay, that's clear. And that was a good example. Actually, I think that was in the last document, the visa piece. And then there was also the piece, it's item reference to number 31, added a clause to limit the period of the list pre-qualified 3-year, that one. So if I'm a new vendor and I come in, I get qualified 3 years from then the clock runs, or is this a 3-year? Is there they would only run to the end of the 3-year term and then you look at everyone again and compare and do everything? Or how does that 3-year piece work? Getting into the weeds, right?
My understanding is that, so how we currently handle our consultants list is every year we have that list re-reviewed. So I would think it would follow along the same kind of thing. We would bring that list back to our staff, ask them to bring forward anyone. And if required, if it was at that 3-year threshold, we would be asking them to go out and get the 3 quotes or kind of deal with it that way. That would be my off the top of my head approach to how we're going to do this. But yeah, the idea is that we're actually putting in place a policy that forces us to review who we're using for those kinds of things. So.
Okay, great, super. Has anyone thought of anything? No? Okay, in that case, thank you for that report. We do have a motion before us, and the recommendation is that report CPS number 17, 2026 regarding procurement of goods and services policy be received and that the bylaw number 2026, number 016, the bylaw to adopt a policy for the procurement of goods, services, and construction, and the procurement policy attached to the bylaws, the Schedule A, be adopted. I need a mover, please, and seconder, Councillor Cates and Councillor Burrs. All in favor? And that's everyone. Thank you very much again. And we can move on to number 9.2, unassumed subdivision status report. And our manager of planning and development is in attendance to speak to that report. Stephanie Bergen will be presenting. Oh no, I see a point. Andrew's doing. No, Rob is. Oh yeah. 3 tries for a quarter, they say, right? Go ahead, Rob, when you're ready.
Through the mayor, apologize if that wasn't appropriately communicated by us. So yes, staff have been wanting to bring a report to council to provide a general overview of the status of the various phases of residential subdivisions within our municipality. The list provided in the report generally includes developments which have been draft plan approved and are at the various stages between draft plan approval and assumption by the municipality. There are other developments that are working towards draft plan approval that we have not included in the summary. The flow chart provides the various stages of the overall development process. So I'm not going to go into the detail as they're listed there, but we're happy to answer any questions on that at the end. I do want to touch on a few of the key milestones that happen throughout the process that tend to lead to questions from council or from residents. So as we work through the process, we reach a point after draft plan approval and after the final design drawings have been completed and some of the issues worked out, where we enter into the subdivision agreement with the developer and the municipality. So that gets executed, which includes the final design drawings for a particular phase of the development. So once that agreement is executed, the developer is then able to provide some final documentation and then get an authorization to proceed with construction on the site. Once the developer has completed the installation and the commissioning of the municipal servicing, the utilities, the roads, including streetlights, for example, the developer's consultant can then submit an interim completion certificate. And once the municipality has reviewed that and is satisfied that the works have been completed and are operational, the municipality will issue what's called an interim certificate of provisional acceptance. And that's identified in the report. Once that certificate is issued, that then allows builders to begin applying for building permits for individual lots. So that's a critical point in the development process when building actually starts to receive building permits. The subdivision agreement identifies within it the requirements for the subdivider or the developer to meet what's called completion of the development. So this generally requires the completion of all the work required on the design drawings, and it requires a specified amount of the building lots to be constructed upon, which is kind of a critical component. The agreements generally require between 80 and 85% build out, and that's looking at the detached lots or townhouses would also be included in that, but not say not a site plan block would not be included within that. So what can happen is completion can be delayed either due to deficiencies that need to be rectified within the right of way, or sometimes on private lots due to lot grading issues, or because that building percentage can't be reached or hasn't been reached. Right now is a good example where the market has been slow, building activity has dropped off, and some phases of development have been occurring slower than desired. So what's important to note is that the municipality releases a portion of the security at the time that the interim completion is issued, but that we always retain security. And in fact, we retain 10% of the original security. Even once completion is reached, we still retain that 10% until assumption is completed. So once the certificate of provisional acceptance is issued, which happens at completion, then we enter into what is the 1-year warranty period. At the end or prior to the end of the warranty period, but getting pretty close, usually within the last couple of months, a final inspection is completed by municipal staff. If there's any deficiencies that are identified, the developer is then required to complete those final deficiencies. And once those are completed and the 12 months have been reached, then staff will bring a bylaw to council for the final assumption of that phase. So at that time, the municipality then formally takes on the responsibility of the operations and maintenance of the municipal servicing, including the roads, stormwater management, parks where applicable. So just to know, up until that point of assumption, the winter maintenance falls back on the developers to ensure that they're completing winter maintenance, or if there was say, a break in the storm sewer line, they would be required to complete that restoration. We do offer to developers that we would enter into a contract to provide winter maintenance of the roads. Some choose to do that, some choose to do it on their own. In newer contracts or newer subdivision agreements, we have added language where if we feel the developer is not meeting the minimum maintenance standards, that we can step in and provide that service and build them back. So again, as we work through this, we've definitely made changes within our subdivision agreements over the last 6 years, trying to improve upon them and kind of how we work through this process. So I'm happy, Stephanie and I are both happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you for that report. And just while I'm thinking of it, thank you for the clerk for giving us paper copies of the maps. Questions? I have Councillor Cates first here. Go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I think this is fantastic information. And, you know, the report with the timelines, the maps, it is, I like the one-page report. This is often a common thing I find that people misunderstand or don't understand at all. And so it's really, really good. I'm wondering if, and maybe it's already there and I don't know, I'm wondering if we can have this as, you know, we have our development section where we show if we can have this information on there. It's, you know, a spot that you can refer people to. The one page in the, you know, we all see it when people come in and you have your initial approval and it's like, no, it still has to go through this and, you know, and so maybe at least it's info that it can be at somebody's fingertips, but also, you know, for the, anticipated assumption date, you know, like you often have people who don't understand, they're not assumed yet, or how long is it going to be? And at least this is, you know, clearly nothing's getting assumed in 2026. So right now, we know 2027 is more of the target date than. So again, really good info and hoping we can have that on a website. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have Councillor Coles.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you to Stephanie and Rob for preparing and submitting this report. I really appreciate it regarding the Clear Skies and Timber Walk, because I do get these questions all the time, just like Councillor Cates. I also found your report to be very layperson friendly because, you know, all these words are not common to most of our residents. So thank you for preparing it and making it easy for me to share with people, which I've already done that so far. So my question, I have two questions and relating back to Clear Skies and Timber Walk. So my first one is there any opportunity to, you know, shorten any of these timelines on our part, not on the developer's part, but anything that we can do on our end? And then my second one was just about the Clear Skies Phase 1. It includes the trail. So just wondering about when we foresee the trail beginning, the construction of the trail. So those are my two questions for Rob. Or Stephanie.
Okay, so I'll jump in first.
Thank you.
So I'm going to add one thing to it, just while I think of it. So this report, so I'm going to thank Stephanie for putting it together. I appreciate the feedback. And I think now that we've done this, I know I don't want to speak for Stephanie, but I'd like to bring it once a year to give an update, say every spring on where the various phases stand. I'm going to start with the trail for Clear Skies. So the trail lands, and much like the stormwater management block in Clear Skies, we're dedicated to municipality in Phase 1, which is standard that there are lands that are dedicated. Doesn't mean that they're going to be implemented right away, right? So it's similar to the park block in Clear Skies, that the phasing in Clear Skies actually changed. Phase 3 wasn't originally going to be so large. Park wasn't going to be in Phase 3, but then Phase 3 lands, or the park block, got included with the Phase 3 registration, but the development of it wasn't included in Phase 3, right? So the intent is, though, is that we'll move forward with the park probably sooner than the trail, because the park is going to be now developed on both sides once Phase 4 moves forward. The trail, on the other hand, has development along Phase 3 but it's missing a significant component of, or portion of development in the future phases still, where it's going to back on. That's something that if council directs us to move on it sooner than later, we can do, but there would probably be efficiencies in having it move forward when the rest of the development moves forward. And I'm sorry, can you remind me what your first question was? Oh, timing. I think, yeah.
Timelines in our, what we can control.
So we can, I mean, so within the development agreements themselves or the subdivision agreements, we do have a requirement in there for developers to reach completion within 3 years. The problem is sometimes they just can't, right? So we can force them to come back and give us a timeline. We can ask them for that certainly and document that. We just know that certain things are largely out of the control of the market right now, right? We can, other than that, we can change a little bit on certain requirements that we include either with the interim completion or the completion certificates. So for example, sometimes to ensure that something gets done in a timely manner, we have said, okay, the fencing along a trail, that it's required within 6 months of the issuance of the completion certificate, so that we know it'll be done soon in the project as opposed to later, right? So we can put some timing constraints in there if there's special features that are required. Anything that's already out there right now, we don't have the opportunity to change, right? So we can only work on agreements that are not yet in place.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else? I don't see any hands. Thank you for that report. I'll echo the comments without repeating them. I think this is great. So thank you very much to staff. The recommendation before us is that report PWE number 12, 2026 regarding unassumed subdivision status report be received for information. Councillor Shipley, Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Okay, we don't have any notices of motion today, so we can move to the reports from boards and committees. The first item up is the Economic Advisory Committee piece. Let me just move to that. Yeah, so we're receiving, we just need a mover and a seconder for that document. Councillor Coles and Councillor Burrs, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Correspondence is next. Is there anything anyone wishes to comment on before we move to that? Make the motion. Okay, in that case, no questions. The items listed under correspondence. The recommendation is that Council for the Municipality of Middlesex Centre receives correspondence items 12.1 and 12.2 for information. And Deputy Mayor Brennan, Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, I will elect to Deputy Mayor Brennan now. We had County Council and he'll present a report to us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We did meet with County Council yesterday. First on the agenda was the sale of land in Glencoe that the county owned. It was proposed for an ambulance station, but is no longer required. So it was sold back to the municipality of Southwest Middlesex for $50,400. The long-term care service accountability agreement. It's an annual declaration of compliance for Strathmere Lodge. That was gone through and everything is above board and we have no concerns with that agreement. We awarded an RFP for Middlesex County Archives feasibility study to TCI Management Consultants for the price of $90,360 plus HST. So that will be going forward. They will be looking into all aspects of what it'll take to do something for the archives. An RFP awarded to the Transit Operational Services, Virgo, for $99.70 per hour plus HST. There's four routes that are now under the county's jurisdiction. Route 1 is Lucan, Illerton, Arva, London. Route 2 being Woodstock, Ingersoll, Putnam, Dorchester, London. Route 3, Dorchester, London, St. Thomas, and South World. And Route 4 is one that we've just taken over that used to be ran by Strathroy Caradoc. Yeah, Route 4 is from Sarnia, Strathroy, Mount Bridges, Camoka, and London. So those 4 routes are in place for the next 4 years. So we'll see how that continues to go. We talked about debt approval for the county. One of the main things was funding for the new administration building. It was decided to go 50% long-term debenture financing and 50% of the cost from the sale of 50 King Street and 399 Rideout. This was perhaps the best option to keep money in reserves and keep the impact on taxes at the lowest point possible. County-owned forest woodland acquisition policy was received. It's simply a policy where the county would look at taking on more woodlands. If someone wished to donate it to the county, then there are criteria that they look at. The transportation funding, I forgot to mention that, is $3,408,000 from the province to operate that funding over the next 5 years. In the last year, we've had a 27% increase in the ridership. We had an update on broadband. There's still a lot of work to be done. Nothing else will be happening until out of the ground, and then they can continue to get people hooked up to that. We had a report on housing and homelessness services overview, a report on the Housing Accelerator Fund 2, North Middlesex, Strathroy, Caradoc, Lucan, and Middlesex Center. All got funding under the Fund 2. As everyone knows, we got 4.24 million, in which from 2025 to 2028, we're expected to provide 645 new living units. Build Ready Housing Design Program is not approved. If not approved for a housing accelerator funds, staff directed to confirm county funding source in 2026, fourth quarter performance report. Award, there's tenders awarded for hot and cold asphalt and curb and gutter outlets and sidewalks. Most of these came in under budget. A lot of it because the budget was done earlier at the county this year, which allowed earlier tender processes, and we got better prices. Also, we awarded a tender for steel beam guardrails along some of the bridges. Those are the main highlights of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Are there any questions for the Deputy? None? I'll just add to, for the public, if any of these items that were highlighted by Deputy Mayor Brennan are of interest, you can always access all of the reports online, just like our municipal ones. So dig in if you'd like to get more information. All right, I'll look to council. Is there any other business at all that, okay, I have, this is not.
Yeah, just,
Go
you know,
ahead.
on the lighter side, a sad piece of news, Wyerton Willie passed away last evening.
Oh.
He was distraught by the fact that he found out winter will continue.
Okay. And on that note, we need to consider bylaws. The motion before us is that bylaw 2026, number 9, number 10, and bylaws 16 through 19 be adopted as recommended. I have Councillor Coles, Councillor Shipley, all in favor, and that is carried. Thank you. And a motion to adjourn is up next, and it is that Council for the Municipality of Middlesex Centre adjourns the March 11, 2026 council meeting at 10:17 a.m. I have Councillor Coles, thank you, and Councillor Cates, I saw your hand. Nobody wants to go home today. All in favor? Thank you very much. We stand adjourned until next time.